There's a moment in many people's lives where they feel like everything's falling apart. The relationship ends, the career changes, the identity you spent years building suddenly stops working. It feels like failure, it feels like loss, and sometimes it feels like life has completely turned against you. But over time, many people begin to realize something surprising. What felt like the fall was actually the beginning of awakening. Today, I want to talk about something that many spiritual traditions describe in different ways. This idea that sometimes the collapse of our old life is the doorway to remembering who we truly are. I call this remembering the light within the fall. The illusion of the perfect life. Most of us grow up believing life is supposed to move in a straight line. You build the right life, you make the right choice, you become the right version of yourself. But what many people eventually discover is that the life we build is often based on expectations. Expectations from family, expectations from culture, expectations from fear. And sometimes we spend years becoming a version of ourselves that isn't fully aligned with our deeper nature. Everything looks successful on the outside, but something inside quietly knows this isn't the whole truth. And eventually something shifts. When the fall begins, the fall often begins when instructions we relied on stop working. A job we thought defined us disappears, or life forces us into a period of reflection we never planned for. As we try to fix it, we try to rebuild the same identity. We try to return to the same life we had before. But sometimes the fall happens because the soul can no longer live outside the old structure. The identity cracks, the illusion breaks, and what we thought was our foundation begins to dissolve. This is the moment many people interpret as failure. But in many spiritual traditions, this moment has another name. It's called the awakening. And right now, we are going through a collective awakening. And the dark night phase is what we're in. And after the fall, many people go through this phase and will go through this phase that feels confusing and uncertain. Spiritual teachers have often called this the dark night of the soul. It's the stage where the old identity has fallen away, but the new self hasn't fully formed yet. During this time, people begin questioning everything. Beliefs change, priorities shift, relationships sometimes evolve, and sometimes they fall away. And life can feel strangely quiet. It can feel lonely. But the purpose of this phase isn't punishment, it's transformation. Because during the dark night, something important begins to happen. We stop searching outside of ourselves for answers, and we begin to listen inward. When the noise of the old life begins to fade, something quieter begins to appear. Intuition, clarity, a deeper awareness of what feels true. Many people describe this stage as remembering something they always knew but had forgotten. The light we reach and search for outside of ourselves was truly never gone. It was simply buried under expectations, fear, and identity. The fall removes those layers, and slowly we begin to reconnect with our authentic self. Now, the identity we were taught to perform, not that identity, but the deeper awareness that always existed beneath. Life after the fall. What surprises many people is that life after the fall doesn't necessarily become dramatic or extraordinary. Instead, it becomes quieter, more intentional. People begin choosing relationships based on peace rather than approval. They build lives that reflect their values rather than external expectation. And the chaos that once felt overwhelming slowly becomes wisdom. The fall becomes part of the story that helped reveal who they really are. Not something that destroyed them, but something that revealed them. The light was always there. If you are currently going through a period of loss, uncertainty, or change, you might feel like life has collapsed, but sometimes the fall is simply the moment when life begins to show us the truth about who we are, the truth about what matters, and the truth that the light we spend so much time searching for outside of ourselves has always existed within. The fall removes the walls that kept us from seeing it. When those walls come down, we begin to remember. Sometimes losing the life you thought you needed is the moment you remember the life that was always yours. And that's the beginning of living in soul. If this conversation resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel for more discussions about awakening, healing, and living authentically. And if you've ever gone through a moment in life like the fall, but eventually led to growth, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Your story may help someone else recognize their own light. If you like, I wanted to say, right now, so many people, some of us have already awakened, but there's going to be many that are awakening right now. And, share it with some of these people who are just crumbling because the world and the expectations they have for their life are changing. But as we're going through this collective shift and awakening and truly dark night of the soul, for many, we need to be there for each other and help each other find the authentic truth of what's important and what's so magical about living on this planet. Thanks for watching, everybody. Love you.